experiences, Napa Valley wine tasting, spoiling my women friends, sitting at the table with millionaires. The narrative is tax loops, accounts offshore squares. It's not allowed.
We are live. We are live. We are live. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be back in the building again at the number one home for personal development. Welcome to Coingang Ministries. My name is Ken Billions. If you didn't know, if you can see me, press 1, and if you can hear me, go ahead and press 2. Over here we have constitutions, and one of them is top shelf or nothing. So if you can see me, press 1, and if you can hear me, go ahead and press 2. And if I know everything is good on your end, man, we're gonna do what we came here to do. It's definitely a pleasure. It's definitely an honor to be here again at the number one home for personal development. This is ministry for the abstract mind. And this is a safe space for everybody out there with that out the box philosophy. You're in the right place at the right time. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here. You are amongst friends. You are amongst family. You are safe right here. You are safe here to be yourself. You are safe here to think differently. This is not an echo chamber. We don't do group think, right? We want intelligence to flourish, right? Even if it sounds weird at first, it's all good. We'll walk with you through it. If you got children, please do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Please keep your babies close. Understand when you brought that child into the world, that was a lifelong contract. There is no when they turn 18, you throw them to the wolves. And when they turn 21, you throw them to the wolves. Even when they start families of their own, you are there for advisory. You get out their way, but you be somewhere where they can find you. So please keep your babies close. And if you got somebody in your life, a lover, a companion, husband, a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever title that you have, be patient with each other. Grace. If y'all can have raw sex with each other, then y'all definitely can extend each other grace. Some days he might miss taking out the trash. Some days it happens, Some days she might not feel like getting her hair done, right? It happens. Some days she might wear period panties and she ain't on her period. It happens. Grace. I want to say a shout out to all the enemies that have showed up. I'll be a fool to think everybody's a supporter. So shout out to the enemies that tune in to might see me talking about a calamity. Well, I ain't fell off. I got a head full of hair. I'm walking into 40 years old gracefully. So shout out to the enemies. And I like to say, for real, shout out to the supporters. I don't have fans. I have supporters. People that have been rocking with me when I was blogging, when I was doing music, that have been following me for a long time. And the dope thing here about this platform is people that support me don't agree with everything I say. There's videos that ain't for them, and they tune in and it ain't for them. They fall back and catch me on the next one. That's real love. That's real support. So I want to say shout out to my supporters. If you are a membership person, if you are a Cash App person, trust me, I appreciate you. And all bread that I get, I put back into this, because next year this whole thing is going to look different. I promise you that. But today, listen, man, we're going to talk about what is the real world. What is the real world? Is the real world even real? We're going to talk about the true self. Is Bundles a true self? Is my beard, my Beijing, how I clean up? Is my waves? Is that my true self? Is the BBL? Is that a true self? Is it? Huh? Is having a big pipe on a man? Is that his true self? Is it? We're going to talk about doing the work behind the work. All right? We're going to talk about doing the work behind the work. And we're going to talk about sometimes you got to go into the dark to find the light. Oh man, today we're going to eat. Today our conversation is the primal self versus the real world. Shadow work. The hardest work to do is shadow work. The hardest work to do is not corporate work. I know it's difficult to be a wife. I know it's stressful to be a husband, but that ain't the hardest work. The hardest work is to do shadow work and still be a wife. The hardest work is to do shadow work and still be a husband, because the shadow work has nothing to do with the production. The shadow work has nothing to do with your Democratic or Republican identity. The shadow work is the real work that needs to be done. And it's the hardest work. And it's the ugly work too, right? So we're going to get into it. I strap on your seat belts. Go ahead and do me a favor, like and share the video. I thank you in advance. I thank you for any super chats and cash apps in advance. You are appreciated. So let me show y'all something. This is my taste right here. I just want to give you the heads up. If you see me in this, I don't want to hear shit. I'm serious. If you see me in this, I don't want to hear nothing. You know why? Because I paid my dues. I came here and I spit the word, even on days I ain't getting no money. I didn't say nothing. I paid my dues. So if you see me in this, if you see me on Ocean or Collins or Rodeo Drive, and I'm in this, wave spinning, of course, and I got some fire on the side, of course, I don't want to hear nothing, right? But this car is a beautiful car, right? But the only thing that makes this car more beautiful is it needs a driver, okay? The car, no matter how fly it is, it needs a driver. Without a driver, this car has no meaning, right? People observing a car are important because it gives it validation, it gives it meaning, but the driver gives it meaning. I'm not just going to have this car and just look at it all day. Now I'm going to hop in. I'm going to bend corners. I'm going to tell my haters, watch my dust. Huh. So the car needs a driver. So the car is a shell. Now, human beings are like this car. What you're looking at is a shell. What makes the car move? Yes, the car has an engine. Yes, the car has spark plugs. Yes, it needs oil, right? It needs gasoline, okay? It has tires. But that's just the body. That's the shell. The human being is like the car. Eyes, nose, has a personality, right? It expresses itself. It moves around, similar to the car, right? So when we look at the human body, you look at that section in the middle, all of that is involuntary organs. You don't do anything to make it work. There is something else that is making it work. So just like this car needs a driver, human beings need a driver, we need a driver. That is our body, but something else needs to move this body around. Something else needs to push us on a day-to-day. Something else allows us to have imagination and dream, right? Something inside of us allows us to be creative and write. Something else allows us to think abstractly and conceptually. What is it? What is the something else? Consciousness. Consciousness is the driver of the human body. Without it, we're nothing. So we have a person inside the person, or a self inside of the self. This is an important thing to understand because we get caught up in a false world that we think is real. We call the real world, which is a false world, real, right? And we put makeup on and we wear many masks, but that world is not the real world. The world of the unseen is the real world. The world where our consciousness comes from is the real world. Now, just like this car, right? The driver comes from somewhere. The driver or the pilot of the car has an origins, right? It comes from somewhere. So does your consciousness. So the body that you're in, you picked it. Just like I picked this beautiful, gorgeous car, right? All right. You have a reality right here, and then there is another reality. The other reality is our true self. That is the self. The self is not my skin. The self is not my hair. So if a woman dyes her hair or she wears a wig, that is not self-hate because the self is not outside of us. The self is non-physical. The self is the pilot to this meat suit. The self is, everybody go like this. Blow your breath on your hand. You feel that? That's the self. Have you ever seen a person die in front of you? Right? What happens? They take that last breath. That is something. And that something is intelligent. That something comes from somewhere. There is a life before life. Okay? Your spirit is the divine. Your spirit is the supernatural. Or, excuse me, your spirit is source. Right? What you're calling, oh, God has a plan for my life, right? God don't make no mistakes. When you think of God, you think of physical. So you look at yourself and you say, you know, I can never be God because I can't do these physical things. But consciousness moves between space and time. In fact, it doesn't exist. There is no limitations to consciousness. There is no limitation to the self, right? So you can have non-human thoughts. Real spirituality has nothing to do with the earth. You know, people say they're spiritual, right? But they do a bunch of human shit, right? To get in tune with spirit, you have to suppress the body. That's how the spirit wakes up. So we have to eat less. We have to consume less. We have to freeze our desires to wake spirit up because spirit gets trapped in this meat suit. The self gets trapped in humanity. So you got to freeze, you got to suppress the body. You got to, what Bobby Hemmett says, you got to do a phone call to your own ass to wake yourself up, right? So what you're looking at is the car. This is the pilot or the driver. My shadow self, our shadow self exists there. I believe between there and humanity, like between the true self and humanity, like right there is the shadow self, the real self, the self that we make religions for. What do you think religion is for? Religion, culture, is to civilize the shadow or civilize aspects of humanity about us, right? Because when you pull religion back, you pull culture back, you see the true nature of human beings. Now the self has came here to express itself, but we have culture. Now I have a child, and there's certain aspects of my child that is not of me. He has my face. He has my hair texture. He has a lot of my ways too. But there's a portion of him or a part of him that I'm not responsible for. That true self, that comes from somewhere else, right? Our self comes from somewhere else. We make a mistake of thinking that the self is a collective thing. Sure, we share the same breath, but you and I are not a collective when it comes to self. Now, we can have a physical connection, a cultural connection. We can have fraternity groups, okay? We can even have a historic connection. But when it comes to the self, we are independent because when I leave this planet, I go on my journey, you go on yours, right? So the self is not a collective. And what we do is we blend culture and we blend collective thinking, sometimes racial thinking or gender thinking, and we put it to the self, okay? True self-love has nothing to do with other people. I don't have to love black people to love myself. In fact, I can hate your guts and love me. I don't have to love white people. I don't have to love anyone. I don't have to love you. I choose to, but I don't have to though, right? Because true self-love has nothing to do with anyone else. There's a part of our experience that is extremely selfish because I'm here to learn, I'm here to absorb. And along the way, if I choose to make a connection with other human beings, that is through my consent. But I'm not obligated to, though. I don't have to help black children. I don't have to do anything. I choose to. It means more, right? Because I'm here because I want to be, but I don't have to be, though, right? I don't have to do acts of service. I don't have to do none of that. I choose to, right? Because this is my experience, not our experience. Okay? Now we may share memories, we may share experiences, but I'm over here with it and you're over there with it. And guess what? That's okay. Okay? So the true self is the shadow, or I believe you have the self, and right in the middle, you have the shadow, and then you have humanity. Now, the self struggles in humanity because the self came here to do what it's supposed to do. And sometimes the self expresses itself in through humanity in a dysfunctional way, in a deviant way. That spirit is what it is. It is going to express itself everywhere like that. Jeffrey Dahmer did some horrific things, but whatever that energy expresses itself, wherever, is going to be the same, right? In the next realm, it may express itself through a female. It may express itself through whatever organism is there, and it just have a different behavior and a different appetite. But that thing inside of the shell is going to be like that no matter where it is. It's the energy, right? Okay. Where we struggle is coming to terms with the energy that is inside of us. That's where we struggle. Because the energy, the true self, is clashing against culture. The true self is rubbing up against humanity. And because of culture and human rules, there are ways, behaviors, and thoughts that we express that we may be shamed for, and we even are shamed. And also the thing about that shadow area, that little area between the true self and humanity, the way we often learn is through trauma. The issue is we have made trauma a religion. But trauma is actually our initiation. Some of you be like, what, Ken? Are you serious? Yes. Let me put myself in a fire. When my mother had a boyfriend, her boyfriend invited the son over to stay with us for a summer. This is how much I really believe what I'm saying. My mother did a mistake that a lot of mothers do. She let them children shut that door. Ain't no shut doors. Hell no. We too young for that, right? I'm Johnny on the spot with mine. Ain't no shut doors, right? So anyway, my mom's boyfriend's son had very happy fingers, okay? So maybe he learned that somewhere. And he introduced me to some things that he wasn't supposed to, right? My prefrontal cortex was nowhere near developed. I didn't know what was going on, okay? So this other boy who was older than me had happy fingers and had an energy, and he put that energy on me. Now, out of all children, at any time, how did I go through that? That wasn't random. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Trigger through it because I know how you think. I am not a victim. I'm not claiming that. I'm not wearing that jacket. What I'm telling you is what that in many experience was an initiation for me to be where I'm at right now. Triggered through that shit. I'm not a victim. My energy is my energy. And for that individual's energy to come across mine, there must be something there. I'm not talking about the adolescent look on my face. I'm talking about the energy that's inside of me, because the energy that's inside of me is not child. The energy that's inside of me is ageless. Now, in culture, we have rules. Okay. So in culture, that behavior is not acceptable. I agree. I agree. In culture, people need to keep their damn hands to themselves. What I'm talking about is beyond culture. Okay? Trigger through what I'm saying. So the energy that I had was my initiation. Me. Me. Did I want that? No. Hell no. Was I confused after that? Yes. Should I have got some counseling? Yes. But I'm talking from a metaphysical and an objective position. Trigger through what I'm saying. Don't assume I'm trying to say something else. I'm saying exactly what I mean. Okay? Saying exactly what I mean. Don't put paint where it ain't. I know how the mind goes. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying on the energetic true self space, right? On the energetic true self space, that was my initiation into the planet. Okay? That is how our shadow learns. Our shadow doesn't necessarily learn from someone giving us cake. We don't learn through someone giving us hugs. That feels good. That comes later. But the intro to the death realm oftentimes is traumatic experiences. From those traumatic experiences, we develop some behaviors and some deviancies, and people often like where they like. Okay. You have some women who people will call fast. Okay. And because of culture, the behavior that the woman is doing is shameful. Okay. So the woman must hide behind being blessed and highly favored, right? She must hide behind being Democrat. She must hide behind her sorority. She must hide behind her name. She must hide under production, right? But she really a hoe. And because of culture, we say, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to do that. That is bad. But the thing inside of her came to the planet to be that. I'm talking the energy. So to you, You see her face, you know her name, you went to school with her, that's your sister, that's even your daughter, that's your friend, and you're like, that's unacceptable. Because you're running her through a filter of culture, right? However, there is a person inside the person, right? That in that entity, that true self does not know culture. It has to be reintroduced on coming back to this planet. It has to be taught the rules of how to be human. And what happens is our self tries to break out of those rules. That shadow tells the truth. That shadow is our real selves. Now, back to my story. Because I already know how the mind is, and I know who my demographic is. Trigger through it. Do not add anything to what I'm saying, because I'm not a fucking weirdo. But I know how you think. Listen to what I'm saying. My shadow, this right here, that black spot right there, the way that it learns is through traumatic experiences, but it does not process the traumatic experience as good or bad. It has to be activated. Now, that was my experience. Some other experience, it was you came home and your dad was gone. Someone else's experiences, your mom left you in an orphanage, or it can be a breakup to somebody you was really attached to and it did something to you. That black spot right there, that person inside the person does not know good or bad. The experience has to activate that. Now, when that is activated, right? When that is activated, you might find a struggle in living in the real world. The world that we think is real is actually fake. It's not a real world. It's a false world. How do we know? When we look at the periodic table, you can't see none of that stuff, but it exists. When you look at magnetism, well, you can't really look at it until it expresses itself on the physical level, right? Okay. Electricity. There is a world that we are in, that we experience, that we don't necessarily see. That is the real world. This, my face and all this is glamour. This is not the real world. This is not who I am. I get the haircuts for glamour purposes. I match this with this for glamour purposes. This is a fucking shirt. It's not real. This is not even me. This is not even what I really look like for real. Right? This is a false world. Wife. What does that mean? Husband. What does that mean in the grand scheme of things? In the world of the unseen, what does it mean? What does husband mean towards electrons and protons? And what does it mean in that world? Nothing. It only means something here. Democrat, Republican. Oh, I'm a GD. I'm a Crip. I'm a Vice Lord. I'm a Folk. I'm a Latin King. What does that mean? It only means something in the false world. Okay? The false world is built on production, scripts, and characters. The script writer creates the characters, and then the individuals that have been socialized in humanity begin to play the role of the character. So this is why we say, let's just say a wife. There's an expected behavior that we have of the wife. From where though? We expect when a woman says, oh, I'm married, we expect a behavior from her. We're not even mindful that there's another entity inside of the wedding dress. So what will happen to the wife? 9 times out of 10, she's married because that's what she was supposed to do because of the human story. You find a man, you get married, right? You have a baby, and you die. That's the human story. So many women are married because of the human story. Oh, you're 35. You don't have no kids. Oh, your biological clock. So the woman is running and, oh, I don't want to be alone. I got to have a kid. My body, I need a baby, right? None of that addresses the shadow. That is all human shit. And what happens is eventually the shadow inside of the wedding dress, inside of the wife, inside of the mother, all of a sudden, remember me, it begins to express itself. And then the husband come home one day, what's wrong with you? Right? She's upset. And he can't figure out why. What can I do? What can I buy you? I've given you everything. And there's something in her that wants to be wild for a second. There's something in her that does not want to be a mom only for this weekend. There's something in her that's like, baby, there's something in her that is like, baby, I love you, but I don't want to be a wife for a weekend. See, we can never accept some shit like that because we don't know about the other nature, right? Because our identity is connected to who we know the person as or who we think they are. You're my wife. What do you mean you don't want to be a wife for the weekend? What do you mean? What he's thinking is caught up in his identity towards her or what he thinks she is. But there's something in her and does not hate the children, does not hate her husband, but there is something in her that needs to live and feel. I'm not saying that she wants to hook up with someone else. Could be. She might want to climb a mountain. She might want to shave all her hair off. She might want to just take herself to a hotel for a weekend and turn her phone off and just lay on her panties. She might want to go to a room, look in the mirror, and scream. Ah! She might want to go to a place and take a bat and psh, psh. She might want to rob a bank, right? It depends on the shadow and what it needs. Now, we would have a hard time accepting that she went missing for a weekend because that's our friend. That's our sister. That's my wife. That's our mother, right? The interesting thing is the husband also has a shadow. If he was married young, he did all the right things. He went to school, he works hard, he got the wife, and then one day he decides to risk it all on a prostitute. The wife finds out, oh my God, Kevin, how could you do this to me? Oh, we have a family. What is she talking about? She's talking about her identity to him. She's not talking about what he may have needed for that moment because she sees him as Kevin, the husband, the Howard graduate, the provider. She doesn't see his shadow. She doesn't know what he'd been through as a child. She doesn't know what he came here as. And she doesn't know what he came here to do. Because the function of that shadow may have not been to be a married man. That just happened in the human story. The function of that shadow may not even be a dad or a graduate from Howard or a friend. The function of that particular shadow could be to run around with prostitutes. And because of culture, he's been suppressing who he really is for a very, very long time. How many women can accept that? None. Why? Because her identity pegged to him, she don't agree. How many men can accept the woman leaving for a weekend and whatever she decides to do? Hell no. Because you have to be a mom 24/7, right? And you have to be a wife 24/7. Where's my food? Where's my sex? Right? He's not thinking that possibly the wife could be in a moment where she looks at her husband and like, I don't really want to fuck you right now. It's not that I don't love you, but my shadow does not need predictability right now. My shadow would wishes you kick the door open, boom, bitch, go upstairs and put that shit on that I like. My shadow wants you to put a collar on and walk me around in the crib. Come on, we grown, right? I know people's shadow, right? She want to edge. She want to rush. She wants to, right? Too much production, right? Too much of going up to the school. Hey, everybody, I miss such and such. That's a production, right? Too much of this. We don't know what we are, right? If we say we are a spirit having a human experience, spirit, what does spirit come to do? Whatever it wants. Now, there are certain things in culture I say, yeah, we should put a thing on, right? When it comes to the babies, I don't care what your spirit is, calm that shit down, control that. When it comes to touching people without consent, I don't care what your spirit is, calm that shit down. But you see that it doesn't matter, right? What the rules are, there's some people's spirit that just go full throttle. That is an energy inside of them. This is why you can't, even if you tried, you can never get rid of all the pedophiles. It's impossible because it's a spirit inside of them. You strip off the body, that's that energy, right? There are people that murder, it's in them, right? You can turn a hoe into a housewife, but she's still a hoe. Why? Because the housewife is the production. She can play that role well, but she's still a hoe. And I'm not using the term hoe with anything on it, right? No judgment. That energy came to experience men and women or whatever it wants to do. And then it's time to die and go somewhere else. What this conversation is being, what this conversation is designed to do is there are certain boundaries where you have to put on your shadow. We all think crazy thoughts. We all have ideals. There are a level of policing that you have to do. But and now the part that is okay, you have to be comfortable with your trauma and you have to be comfortable with the fact that you have another nature. And you have to figure out within culture, within your marriage, within your friendships, in your working environment, how to allow your shadow, your true self to live and flourish. Because if you don't, you will always be unbalanced. The real world is nothing but Universal Studios. That's all it is. We are living in a production. that we create these titles and these names, and we give so much meaning to the title and the name. Oh, you're my daughter. Oh, you're my mom. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you about Miss Barb Shadow, right? That's me. That little big head boy in there, that's me. I had the afro with the tail and the beads. What? And I had the Oshkosh bagosh um uh suspenders, hair, juices, and berries. Been having, I mean, anyway, see, that's my shadow. See, that's what I really want to do. That's how I really want to talk. I don't want to be humble. I want to tear shit up. That's my shadow. But because of culture, I gotta go. No, Ken, you gotta be humble. That's too narcissistic, right? But I'm in Miss Barb's hands right there, right? Silly me. When I'm growing up, I'm so mad and angry at this woman. You're a mom. You're supposed to do this. I'm going to do what I want to do, mama. And at the time, I was in judgment, right? Especially I'm going through my Black conscious stage. See, when you're going through a lot of those schools of thought, it does not leave room for shadow work. And no disrespect to the believers in the Christian faith, but because of your belief, it doesn't give you wisdom sometimes. People in the Muslim faith too, no disrespect to your journey, but because of your belief, you don't have wisdom. And the wisdom is understanding the natures of mankind. And I was going through my schools of thought. I was going through my conscious stage, all that. So I was judging my mom, right? She's making me mad because I didn't understand the shadow. My mom was fuck them kids before fuck them kids, right? She'll give you some money though. She'll give you some paper. My mom gonna cut you and give you some bread. Like, here, take that, right? She gonna emotionally take you down through there, but she gonna give you some paper. You know why? She wasn't supposed to have children. And I say that respectfully and love my mama. I love her. I love her more as she's dead than alive. Right? We got a better relationship her dead. Why? Because I know what I'm looking at now. But as a person that had attachments, I was in Universal Studios production. I had an ideal what mom was supposed to be, especially as I'm looking at Claire Huxtable. I'm going over other people's house and I'm comparing my mom with other people's mother. You need to be this. You need to do this. That ain't right and exact. She did for real her only job. She let me use her body to transport here because I was somewhere else. She let me use her womb. I'm talking the consciousness. She let me use her body to come here. She does not owe me anything after that. If she chooses to feed me, that's what's up. See, because I chose to be here, even as an infant, even if she would have threw me in the trash, it's my job to figure that out. Someone say, how can you figure it out as a baby? Easy. The thing inside of me is not a baby. So what I need to cry loud. So a woman walking, she don't know how she heard it. She just goes down the alleyway and she's like, I hear something. How you think she got there? I caught her. See, I played a game on another level, right? So even if my mom decided to throw me away, I got to get myself out of that because I chose to be here. She let me use her body, right? So now I need to cry in a distinct way after she leaves me in the bathroom. And a woman with headphones on is like, wait a minute, I hear something, right? And then the woman will tell the story from later, like, I don't know how I heard that. I just had headphones on. because it's my job to figure it out. It wasn't Miss Barb's job, right? It wasn't Miss Barb's job to tell me why I'm here. She's on her own path, on her own journey. I just used her to get here. Now, if she chooses to put me to her nipple and allow me to eat, thank you, mama. Because you don't have to, right? You don't have to. If she chooses to rock me to sleep and sing lullabies and put music on for me, thank you, mama. Because she doesn't have to, right? Her divine will is whatever that shadow came here to do. I see her as mama, but how does the universe see her? The universe doesn't see her as my mother. The universe doesn't see her as she owes me something. The universe sees her exactly what she is, energy. The universe is not going to curse her because she was a bad mom. I chose her. I chose her. Do you know why? It's because my shadow needed flourishing. My mom was emotionally unavailable, and it drove me absolutely batshit crazy. Why my mom don't want me? Why is she not picking me? It's my job to find out why. It's my job to say, I'm good enough to be picked. Right? Her being emotionally unavailable is my initiation. You don't get here to stand on stages and have influence over people. You don't get millions of dollars. You don't find the man of your dreams, or you don't find the woman of your dreams without an initiation here. Y'all got the game twisted. It doesn't happen like that. You don't get to experience what this planet has to offer without you putting something down to be able to pick something up. Oh, you must feel it. And I have been tried, denied, and I'm willing to be tried again. Right? See, those traumatic experience was school for my shadow, because the shadow does not learn, right? From someone baking us cupcakes. The shadow does not learn from someone writing me love letters. No, the shadow learns from those experiences that I talk about, right? When I was going through it, I was angry. I was doing the comparison game. But a white man, he don't got to go through that. How do I know? How do I know? There's a black woman somewhere envious of how they think white women live. Their men do this. What is the white man's shadow? Do you know? Right? Maybe they have what they have because they deal with it. You never know. Right? The black man compares himself to the white man. Do you know the white man's shadow? Right? Do you know what the energy inside of them came here to do? The worst mistake you can ever make is trying to play the comparison game and go shadow for shadow, because you're responsible for your own shadow and you don't know no one else's. You have no clue what you're looking at, because to understand the shadow, you cannot look with physical eyes. The shadow is non-physical. You cannot look at people through a Universal Studios lens. You can't look at people through a real world perspective, because the real world is a fake world. Makeup, fake. Haircuts, fake. Clothes, fake. Job titles, fake. Right? That is a production. That is the things we create. It's like going to Las Vegas. You'll be on that strip. Oh, yeah, yeah, kicking it, right? You know that's a desert. You think the entire Nevada looks like that. That's a desert. You don't know what you're looking at. That is a production. They took a pyramid, created the Luxor. That's a production. They took aspects of New York and made New York, New York. The Paris, the Venetia. That's a production to make you feel like you are in those environments, but that's a fake world. All of this is fake. I enjoy it. The food tastes good. The pussy feel right. It ain't real. It's not real. What is real is this thing that I have in me, right? What is real is no judgment, right? If I'm sitting eating my food, right? Sitting eating my food, and I see three women in the restaurant, and I'll be like thinking to myself, I fuck every last one of them. Every last one of them, preferably at the same time. I can't say that out loud. This is what I'm thinking though. Now, from a judgment perspective, you could call me a dog, you could call me an animal, black man, this, blah, blah, blah. What's doing that though? My shadow. That's what I really like. Can I get it off? That's another thing, right? Can I exist within culture? Can I exist in a relationship and get it off? That's another thing, right? Can I be a daddy and still be like that? That's different. That's culture, right? That's humanity, okay? The shadow is in prison to humanity. Humanity is in prison to the real world. The real world controls humanity. Humanity controls the shadow, right? It's a prison. Because I can't be with a woman and be like, damn, I fuck every last one of them. But that's what I really feel though. That's my shadow, right? That is aspects of who I really am. The difference between me and other people is someone can say that out loud to me and I won't think anything different. That's the difference, because I know where that comes from. It doesn't change how I see them. It doesn't change them being a college student. It doesn't change them being my friend. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't even change them if they was my wife. Right? Someone say, your wife? Yeah, sure. What is because a woman becomes my wife, she stops having a shadow? Let me tell you something. When Miss Barb died, right? Miss Barb died right in front of my face. When she died, she took certain things with her. And one of the things she took with her is me trying to control another person's humanity. Okay? I don't want control over nobody. I'm still learning and working my shadow. I'm still finding out different aspects and layers to myself. I'm not who I was 5 years ago. I'm not who I was last month. I'm not who I was yesterday. So if I'm with a partner I'm going to come into every relationship knowing that this woman was a human before I met her. Not only is she a human, she has a shadow element. Now, maybe her shadow element is rushes. She might like to skydive. She might like to bungee jump. Anything can happen, right? She might like to drive fast cars, right? She might want to go to Germany and be in the Autobahn, right? She might also be a whore. Now I want to trigger. Someone say, can you be with a whore? I sure can. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy at first because I have male meat suit ego. I believe I should be able to do whatever I want. But you're a woman and you got a womb and you're Mother Earth and you got to, preserve yourself. And when men lay with you, they make an imprint. See, that's the production. The production, freedom for me, but not for the woman. You see? But she was a human before I met her with a shadow before I met her. I would have to look at this relationship as a learning lesson. Why did I meet this woman? See, I'm always in student mode. I don't give a fuck what the bros think. The bros die at 40. Okay? The bros die at 45. Who cares? I don't care what the bros think. I don't care what no one thinks. Bobby Hemmett said he will go wherever knowledge takes him. And I subscribe to that. So what I would have to figure out, this woman here is in my life to teach me a lesson. What is it? So, because I have made an oath to always being a student, I'm going to go with that woman. I'm going to find the line, right? And go all the way to it, right? I'm going to lose myself in the experience without going over the edge. Now, take that how you want. What's the difference between the Truman Show and us? He thought it was the real world he was living. He thought the mailman was real. He thought everything was real. It wasn't, right? And what you're going to have to do, fam, is you are going to have to walk through the door. You're going to have to learn how to do the work behind the work. Now, y'all have pretty much mastered the glamour area. Y'all look fire. Based on culture, where we spend our money, we spend our money on smell goods. We smell good as hell, right? Hair, nails, we mastered that. But there is a work that's not being done. You're going to have to go into a space that you don't like. You're going to have to go into that dark that you don't like. And you're going to have to audit your traumatic experiences. The healing. Okay. On a metaphysical level, what if we was never hurt from the beginning? What if what we say we need to be healed from is what we actually signed up for coming to the planet? Now, I told you my story. I had someone's son with happy fingers, right? Touching on me, right? Now, Ken, the person, does not like that. I don't like to have that memory. I'm very upset about that. Why didn't my mama protect me? How could this have happened to me? Now I have to live with the fact that some male put their hands on me when I was little. Ken the Shadow signed up for that. Triggered through it. Triggered through it. Just so you know what I'm into, screenshot the thing behind me and blow it up. Right? I'm not for the masses. This is Coingang. I know exactly what I just said. I'm not a social just warrior, right? I don't give a fuck. I don't have to be in your clubhouse rooms. I don't have to be on your panels. I fuck with the shadow for real. Right? So I know exactly what I just said and how it sounds. Ken the man, in my mind, I don't like the memories that I have. I would prefer not to have gone through that. But there's a shadow part of me that signed up for that shit. I got to trigger through it. Right? I remember it clearly. I know why it happened. Right? I know why it happened. Ken the man, if I ever seen that person again, man, right? I wouldn't even recognize him. But I wouldn't say thank you, right? I'd be very violent. I'd be very angry because that shit sent me down a dark path. Ken the Shadow, whatever shadow they have, we know each other. And I'm saying this, and I have a kid. Trigger through it. I know exactly what this planet is. I know exactly what we are, right? I know exactly what's going on. And you have to get to a certain space where you can look at this shit from a not only a 360 perspective, from an objective perspective, from an aerial perspective, because I take the victim out of the story. I am not a victim in my story, right? So the real work, the work behind the work, is not being a provider. That's just human trinkets. The real work is me being honest, like, I fuck all three of them girls. Damn. I'm in the bar, I fuck all three of them. Now, it's up to me to either control the shadow, right? Or allow it to live. That's the decision each one of you have. Do I can, with a public platform, leave my seat, go right over there to them women? Yo, look, man, I'm sorry. Man, I just wanted to tell y'all, all three of y'all bad as shit. I want to put my face, what Birdman say, I want to put my face in all three of y'all. And they can be like, oh my God, put me on TikTok. Oh my God. Or I can sit at my seat and observe that I have those thoughts and come to terms with, I am really like that. But it ain't the right time. It ain't the right place. I got shit to do, right? That's the decision each one of you are going to have. You have a shadow. You're married. You're a husband. You're a wife. You're a friend. You're a worker. All the things that come from Universal Studios. What are you going to pick? Right? You a married hoe. Do you take that weekend? You got to decide. Or do you keep going in the bathroom, shutting the door behind your kids, and they're, mommy, you can't even pee in peace. A lot of women, FYE to men, the bathroom is a sanctuary for a lot of women. When they go in there, sometimes they're not going in there to use the restroom. A lot of women are going in there to cry. Right? So does she take the weekend? Does she just disappear where she doesn't want to be a mom anymore? She doesn't want to be married for the weekend, right? Might go get her brains fucked out and come back, whoo, hella jipper, baking cakes. Does she do it? Or does she suffer? Does she tell her husband, baby, I'm really like this. Can we go to a swinger club or something? Can we spice this thing up? Does she do that? Or does she be the submissive wife? You have to determine that, right? But the shadow is going to express itself whether you like it or not. Look, the real world, the world that we say is real, the world that we are highly invested in, it's real, but it's fake. This reality, it's real, but it's fake. The labels, the titles, I'm a CEO, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm an uncle. What does it mean? Right? I'm a worker, I'm a rich man, I'm a high value man. What does that mean? Right? That is a false world. The real world is a world that many of us don't even know exists. The real world is a world that many of us don't even know is active, right? And it's the world of consciousness, right? You were something before you got here, right? You chose to be here. You chose your mother. You chose your father. These experiences that you're going through, it's not random, right? It's all part of divine order based on what you said you wanted to experience. Now it's up to you to go past the real world, go into your humanity, look at your trauma, right? And take that trauma and turn it into profit. Take your story, take your experiences, the times where you cried, where you was alone, where you violated, someone violated you, those dark areas, those dark moments, find the light, put it in a package and sell it. Now, all this talk about real world, fake world, I had a struggle this morning on how do I balance my shadow with the fact that I'm a superhero. The real world, the fake world, the real world, the fake world. What am I going to do in this real world? And I decided, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to be a nigga with waves. You got choices. Your shadow, the real world. A master figures out how to blend them. Till next time, Coingang.
Biggest game is like, remember we was all back in high school? Some of you may be still in high school or whatever, but follow me. We had the regular class and then you had honors class. And I feel like Ken Billion's game is nothing but honors class. Everything that you learned in life and been through in life or whatever he's talking about at that certain time. And, like point of reference, game for guys. Everybody learn game from somebody and this and that, and it's all over the place. But once I listen to Game for Guys, it's like being in an honors class. Ken is a brilliant guy. I still listen to him to this day. Listen to him almost every other day, and I stay studying. And if I look at his video and he's giving us homework, I'm gonna look through that video. I'm gonna write my notes down. I'm gonna do my homework. Then I'm gonna watch the next video. I mean, you just can't get enough of the game and the knowledge that this brother brings to you. He's allowed me to look back into history, my own history. I found out about black people that I never even knew about, black millionaires and people like that. Recently, I learned about the reticular activating system, and that's something that I'm studying up on as we speak. Which I plan on reprogramming myself. You know what I'm saying? So overall, the Ken Billions game has done a lot for me. It's allowed me to elevate as a man, as a father. It just allowed me to be more excited about life and not be in the program of being oppressed. And that's one of the main things for me that I have to say that this game has done for me. And I'm so glad that I ran across it.